Hello everyone. Today I'm going to sing a song composed by Rabindranath Tagore at the age of 23. My commentator is Taha, who is a PhD student at Emory and works on different aspects of Sufism in South Asia. A lot of Hindu devotional poetry revolves around a luminous mystery. God, Brahman, Ishvara, who is absolutely sovereign, is also intimately accessible to the human heart. To slightly recalibrate the language that my friend Taha alludes to in her response, we may say that God's grandest Jalal is God's sweetest Jamal. তোমায় যতনে রাখিব হে রাখিব কাছে তোমায় যতনে রাখিব হে রাখিব কাছে প্রেম কুসুমের মধু সৌরভে নাথ তোমারে ভোলাব হে রাখিব কাছে তোমারো প্রেমে সখা সাজিব সুন্দর তোমারো প্রেমে সখা সাজিব সুন্দর হৃদয় হারি তোমারি পথ রহিব ছেয়ে তোমায় যতনে রাখিব হে রাখিব কাছে আপনি আসিবে কেমনে ছাড়িবে আর আপনি আসিবে কেমনে ছাড়িবে আর মধুর হাসি বিকাশী রবে হৃদয় আকাশে তোমায় যতনে রাখিব হে রাখিব কাছে
Hello, Professor Barua. Thank you so much for inviting me to comment on this couplet by Rabindranath Tagore. First off, I must stop and apologize to you for being extremely late in responding to you on this couplet. Believe me, it has been on my mind for the longest. It is just that I did not find time to actualize my thoughts into verses and to finally render this into a video. But as they say, better late than never. I think we are still right in time to talk about Tagore, to talk about his poetry. I must also confess that I am no expert in any of the literatures by Rabindranath Tagore, nor do I have any exposure to Bengali literature at large or the language in itself. But as they say, music has no language, and so is the case for poetry. So I would like to thank you for putting me into that space to think beyond my own circle of understanding the languages that I am aware of. And thank you so much for rendering your own voice and musicality to this couplet. This excerpt of these couplets that you have just given us is from a song in Tagore's Gita Vetan, that is the Garden of Songs, which is a collection of his of the Rabindra Sangeet, and it belongs to this genre of devotional songs which are intended as offerings for pujas or worship. As I listen to this song, I find myself drawn into a world of tenderness and quiet devotion, where love is not this grand proclamation, but an intimate act of care. As someone engaging with Tagore's poetry as a non-Bengali speaker, there's always an initial sense of distance, of encountering a linguistic world that is not my own. And yet, the moment I immerse myself in the cadence of his words, that distance dissolves. The universality of Tagore's language, its emotional, spiritual, and aesthetic depth, embraces me, making me feel at home even in words I did not grow up with. This particular couplet speaks of cherishing and keeping close, of devotion expressed through gentle, nurturing presence. Rakhibo he, rakhibo kache. The repetition itself mirrors the act of holding on, of not letting go. And it is here that I find this striking resonance with the traditions of intimacy and Sufi thought. Sufism at its core is an unrelenting pursuit of nearness, the yearning of the lover for the beloved, the servant for the divine. It is an intimacy that is not born out of obedience or submission alone, but out of love so deep that it seeks nothing but proximity. In many ways, Tagore's bhakti vision mirrors this. His devotion is not that kind that erects barriers between the divine and the human. It is the love that dissolves boundaries. Worship in his world is not a distant call to an unreachable deity. It is the act of weaving the divine into the everyday, of making God a beloved who can be cradled in one's heart. This song embodies that ethos. There's no pleading, no supplication, only the quiet assurance of keeping close, of enveloping the divine in the tenderness. Much like how we think of ishq-e hakiki, true love in Sufi thought, where the lover does not merely worship but becomes one with the beloved. Tagore's literature as a whole is deeply infused with this sense of nearness, of breaking barriers between the self and the other, whether it be in his devotional poetry, his explorations of nature as a spiritual force, something that I have read not so much but do have an exposure of, or his deep engagement with the human condition. His songs, in particular, have a way of slipping into the crevasses of the soul, finding a home in those unspoken spaces where longing and love reside. As I was listening to this song, I am reminded of the Sufi poets who wrote of divine presence in the scent of flowers, in the touch of breeze, in the quiet companionship of the heart. Tagore too invites us to see devotion not as an external performance, but as an act of deep, personal, and embodied love. He teaches us that sometimes to be close to the divine is not to speak or ask, but simply to cherish, to hold, to keep near. Perhaps this is why this song lingers. It's not just an ode to devotion, but a reminder that love, whether divine or human, is sustained in the small and unspoken gestures, in the fragrance of the flowers, in the nearness of presence, in the promise to always hold close. Thank you.